All right, guys, in this video, we're talking more about the Microsoft Bethesda Games acquisition and whether or not future Bethesda titles are going to become exclusive to the Microsoft platform or if they are going to remain multi-platform. In other words, will PlayStation owners and Nintendo Switch owners be able to have access to future Bethesda title releases? There were some really interesting and very telling comments that were made recently by a Microsoft executive, so we're going to get into it and discuss it. Before we do, if you could do me a big favor, hit the like button to help the video out and show your support. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and hit the bell notification icon as well, so you can be notified immediately anytime a new video goes live. But this is reading from VGC. It says, speaking at the Jefferies Interactive Entertainment Conference last week, Xbox Chief Financial Officer Tim Stewart discussed how Microsoft intends to handle the release of Bethesda Softworks games once the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Doom publisher becomes a first-party company. Microsoft announced in September that it intends to acquire ZeniMax Media and its game publisher Bethesda Softworks for $7.5 billion, with the deal expected to be completed in early 2021. What we'll do in the long run is we don't have intentions of just pulling all of Bethesda content out of Sony or Nintendo or otherwise, Stewart said, transcribed by Seeking Alpha. But what we want is we want that content in the long run to be either first or better or best, or pick your differentiated experience on our platforms. We will want Bethesda content to show up the best as on our platforms. Yes, that's not a point about being exclusive. That's not a point about we're being adjusting timing or content or a roadmap. But if you think about something like Game Pass, if it shows up best in Game Pass, that's what we want to see. And we want to drive our Game Pass subscriber base through that Bethesda pipeline. Continuing on here, so again, I'm not announcing pulling content from platforms one way or the other, Stewart continued, but I suspect you'll continue to see us shift towards a first or better or best approach on our platforms. Okay, so I know that was worded a little bit strange, but that was the direct quote. And so, as you can tell, this is a really important thing to pay attention to. In fact, I'm gonna say that this is the most revealing information so far about this acquisition. We know that Phil Spencer and Todd Howard, when talking about this, they've both been pretty ambiguous, but I would argue that you could take it one way or the other. And I told you guys before that based off of what Phil Spencer has said previously about this acquisition, the way Microsoft has talked about it in general, even the way Todd Howard talked about it, it seemed kind of, I don't want to say obvious, because obvious isn't the right word, but it certainly seemed like they were not really doing this in an effort to make anything exclusive necessarily. Now, you know, I did let you guys know that I expect all of Bethesda's games, and I guess this is just me kind of preparing for whatever may happen or preparing for the worst case scenario for PlayStation fans, which would be all of Bethesda's games become exclusive to the Microsoft platform. So if you do invest in a PlayStation 5, you're not going to be able to play the Elder Scrolls 6. The only way you're going to be able to play it is on Game Pass, or if you own an Xbox or on PC, but you're never going to be able to play it on your PlayStation console. If you look or just read what's being said here, it's pretty obvious that these games are not going to be exclusive. These games are going to be coming to the PlayStation and Nintendo platforms. Now, the most telling thing here when it comes to exclusivity, and this is what's kind of weird to me, is the CFO is saying here that I'm not trying to comment on exclusivity. Like, to me, it almost seems like he's saying that to avoid getting in any type of trouble, because as Phil Spencer said, he can't really say directly whether or not these games are going to be exclusive, because legally, like, the deal isn't done yet, but it's going to go through, obviously, and it's going to happen. And to me, when he says here in his quote that he's not trying to comment directly on exclusivity or saying that they're going to make anything exclusive, it's a little weird, because it's almost like he's saying that to make it clear that that's not what we're doing. So you can't say that's what we're doing. But right before that, he's literally saying that their goal he mentions Game Pass. Their goal is to get these games onto Game Pass and use them as a way to drive Game Pass growth. And he talks about, games coming to the platform first, or being best on that platform, or being better. The most telling thing here is when he says first, okay? That is 100% implying timed exclusivity. And this is a scenario that I think a lot of people have actually brought up, where they said, well, maybe it wouldn't make sense for Microsoft to make these titles permanently exclusive to the Xbox platform. Maybe it would make the most sense to make them timed exclusives, whether it be for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So when the Elder Scrolls 6 eventually does release, maybe it will be exclusive to the Xbox platform for 1 year. And that's where people are going to be like, I really want to play this game. So they go to Game Pass. They go maybe buy an Xbox. They go, download it on PC or whatever and play it there. And then those who were really just like, no, I only want to play this on my PlayStation, then maybe they're just going to have to wait a year. But to me, this is extremely telling, guys. This, in my opinion, makes it pretty much clear, and in a way kind of confirms that these games are not going to be exclusive to Microsoft's platform, at least not in the way that some Xbox fans were thinking. If you were following the reveal of this, right, when this was announced, when Microsoft first announced this acquisition, I mean, Xbox fans were going wild, which is totally understandable. This is a huge deal for them, and this is still really good for Xbox fans, because if you get these games first, that's still really good, right? If you get the better or best version, I don't know exactly what that means. We're going to have to see, but that's still good for Xbox players, right? But there were a lot of Xbox fans who just went wild and were very much on the side of the fence where these games are going to be Xbox only no matter what. They're never going to PlayStation. It's never going to happen. So if you're a PlayStation fan, you better come over, and you're also a fan of Bethesda games, you better come on over to Xbox, because you're never going to touch another Bethesda game outside of, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. There were a lot of Xbox fans who had that mentality and still do have that mentality. And it's understandable. They're Xbox fans. That's what they want to see. And I will admit that would be a huge, huge win for Microsoft. Maybe not from the business perspective. That's why they would not make these games exclusive to the platform for business reasons, but from just a platform standpoint, from giving gamers a reason to now you're going to want to come over to Xbox, that would be a huge win for them. Them saying that, their intent is to, not take these games off of Sony or Nintendo. That is something that they said here. That's not their intent. That's not what they're going for. Look, just to cut through it all, guys, just to make this crystal clear, in my opinion, this is Microsoft making it clear as day what their intention is with Bethesda's games. Their intention is first, better, or best on Xbox platforms. Okay? He even specifically says that they're not taking it off of PlayStation or Nintendo, and they're not talking about exclusivity. They're talking about first, better, or best. So, guys, if you were worried that future Bethesda titles were going to be exclusive to the Microsoft platform, permanently, I don't think that's something you have to worry about. I mean, even when Phil Spencer answered that question, can we still make our money back if we didn't release any future Bethesda titles onto any other platform? He specifically said, I'm just answering the question that you asked, and the answer is yes. That doesn't mean that they're not going to continue to release these games on other platforms. So, to be honest, I think this may burst the bubble for some Xbox fans who were really, really hoping that these games, these future titles, were going to be exclusive to just Xbox's platform. But you can, those fans can still be happy. You're still getting great games, obviously, under, I'm assuming they'll be great games, right? Games like Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6. You're going to get these big games, and, there's a chance you're going to get them first. And there's a chance you're going to have either the better or best version. Again, I don't know what that means. Could mean exclusive content. It will be interesting, though, guys, because I do want to let you know that this is not definitive, because the absolute truth of the matter here is until Microsoft officially acquires them, like the deal is done and the deal went through and it's 100% legal and official, that's when we're going to find out for sure. But when I tell you that this is the closest thing we have right now, this is the closest thing to a definitive answer that we currently have. It really is. And as I said, it's good news for PlayStation and Nintendo fans. Still good news for Xbox fans, but for some Xbox fans, maybe it's not good news. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. I will be very interested to see what you have to say. Make sure you leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.